Thank you all for coming here today to this divine meeting and engagement, this Black Supreme engagement. It's an honor to be here to go again with you all, to go in deep with this particular lecture, which calls to mind, even saying that, I'm calling this one The Science of Beyondism. And I want to tribute that title to Brother Supreme Black God, as many know as Angelo Freeman. We went in on that title several times on that subject matter, Beyondism. So tonight, deliverance or piece that I will be coming with is called The Science of Beyondism. But I will definitely touch on some very relevant and current topics to go along with that title tonight. But the main theme, the main meat that I want to touch on is the science of Beyondism. Because I really want our people to go beyond. We're going to need to go beyond as spiritual entities and beings. We're going to have a transcendental experience to take us to a level of profound insight, wisdom, spirituality, and power to confront what is happening in this day and time. So I have to deal with the science of Beyondism while making this very relevant to what is going on today, touching on just a few subjects and topics. First one I just want to touch on before I even get to my subject matter, because I want to save the meat for last. Okay, we're going to start off as vegetarians, and we're going to eat the vegetables first. You know, the children don't never want to eat the vegetables first. You got to make them eat the vegetables last. So I'm going to start off with some vegetables, and then I'll go into the meat. I first want to deal with the law enforcement officials. The idea of law enforcement, I think, is very important as it relates to our community, Black consciousness, Black nationalism. Just the times that we're living in today, the issues that we see pertaining to law enforcement and what is going on in our community. The question arises, it begins to arise. Do we even need the police? What are the police for? Why is there so much faith and belief in these entities for justice for our people, when as long as they have been into existence, we don't see any justice for our people? We want to talk about some different perspectives of viewing law enforcement. Some people say we need to deal with the police. We deal with the police. We call them when there's an emergency. We need their help. They're there to help and support us and be a benefit and aid to us, our communities, to keep them safe. But I would beg to differ. I would make the radical statement to say in reality we don't even need the police. The police is that white supremacist savior. It is still the belief in the mystery God, the mystery entity that is somehow going to come and save us from some particular situation. We're putting too much power and giving too much of our energy into the white man and his law enforcement institutions. We believe that somehow they can save and help us. We have made them our gods. Politically and socially, we have turned them into our gods. But the reality of the matter is, anybody in the hood we all know that when you really need the police, they are never there. When you're in a situation and you really need the police and you call them, they end up coming up late or they didn't show up. You don't know what happened. Because a lot of times they're so scared as hell themselves that they wait till the crime has died down before they even show up on the scene. So how can somebody like that save you? And if they can't be there to practically save you in a time of need when you need them, what the hell are they there for? Maybe they're there for their own agenda to just maintain the institution of white supremacy while having you go along thinking that they are there to save and be some benefit to you. When we talk about you being saved and a hero coming along and somebody coming to save you, we're dealing with an issue of salvation. Salvation is a theological and a religious issue. Someone saving you from something. Saving you from a life or death situation. Saving you from something fatalistic. This is a God. This is a deity that we have deified. These men in these uniforms with these badges on. We believe they somehow can save us from our own karma, from our own karmatic death, from our own consciousness, from us attracting our own fears to us in our own community. That somehow this white man, this cracker, our Jesus Christ in physical manifestation as the law enforcement officials can somehow come and save us. But they never seem to save us. Our communities are not safer because they're there. The only thing they save is their face. The only thing they save is our hope in them, our trust in them, and us allowing them to control and dominate our community. We allow them to set laws that enforce and control our real estate, our land, our community, our people, our empire. We allow these cracker devils to drive around and to have a license to lynch our people. Because while they're not saving us, they have been effective in lynching our people. They have been effective in institutionalizing our people. They have been effective in locking our people up and in prison a large percentage of the black males in our community. They have been effective of that. But who have they saved? Who have they saved from the gunshots? From the drugs? Who have they saved from atrocity? Who have they saved from casualty? No one. No one. And under the auspices of making us feel safe, which is an illusion, they lock up all the strong men that represent the reality of safety from white supremacy, from the institutions of white supremacy. Who are they making it safe for? Whose safety are they really interested and concerned about? I got to talk about consciousness. I got to talk about safety. You as safe as your consciousness is. No one can save you from your own fear, from existing in the internal damnation and condemnation of your own mind. There's no savior for you, period. No one can save you from that. And any physical circumstances that man puts himself into, that woman puts themselves into by way of consciousness, they have the capability of getting themselves out. The same way you get yourself in with consciousness is the same way you get yourself out with consciousness. So the savior or saving yours is always present with you. That's the only savior that you have. A lot of times while you're trying to call on a mystery God or the incapable powers of white supremacy to save you, those were moments that we should have used our own personal power to liberate ourselves from the circumstances that we find ourselves uncomfortable with. The seconds that it took for us waiting on a white law enforcement official or one under the auspices of these white supremacist institutions, the time that we were waiting on them was times that we needed to be proactive, to become absolute solid within our consciousness of who and what we are, what we're standing on, what we're capable of, the potential that lies inside of us, and us finding remedy and solution to the problems that are happening within our affairs. That is black sovereignty. That is sovereignty. If you cannot remedy the solutions that exist within your own community peaceably, you cannot peaceable conclusion to the conflict that is happening within your community and your society, you are not fit yet to become a sovereign nation. You're not fit because you need an outside force to come in, to pretend as if they're solving problems, but they really are marginalizing you, stereotyping you, profiling you, and containing you within inside of the limits of racism, white supremacy. They are security guards for the institution of white supremacy. They don't care anything about the condition of our people. They want to contain the violence and the mayhem within certain parameters so that it does not reach them, so we don't wake up and realize who we are and start tearing his ass up. So he want to make sure that minimal containment is provided. Not true safety and security. That's why we don't have it. So we have created a codependency on the forces of white supremacy to solve our problems. And we are scared of our own people. And we feel comfortable with our oppressor. Who has imprisoned a large percentage of the black population? Is it the Negroes that you call gangbangers that you are afraid of in your own community? Have they imprisoned Do they have 70% of the jails filled with black people on lockdown? Is it the gangs in our community that has those men locked down all day long? Talk to me now. Is it the organization of gangs and individuals in the streets that's doing illegal foreclosures, that's organizing bands of men called the sheriff departments to evict old women from their houses? Is it the gangbangers in the streets that are doing that? Who are you afraid of? So while you fear those that are with you, those that are you, those that look like you, you fear them as though they are something different. You have become the white man yourself. And when you look at black people, you think you're looking at somebody else. You fear those people that look like you, that look like your brother, sister, mother, father, cousin, uncle, ancestor, black deities. You fear them, but you feel safe and comfortable in the bosom of your oppressor. You feel safe with him. You feel safe with he who lies, manipulates, and deceives, steals, kills, and destroys. You feel safe with him. But your own people, you're in fear. And the only people that can save you from the fear that you have against yourself and your people is the colonialist, the imperialist, which is white supremacy. I'm saying that you're not safe at all with the police department. You as safe as your consciousness. You as safe as your mind. You are as safe as your projections. And when you see your people, you project fear and hatred and worry and doubt. And you create these because you are unable to cultivate a positive relationship simultaneously while you are projecting negativity. It's impossible to cultivate a positive relationship while you're projecting negativity. So you have to alter your mind to see something different in order to interface with conscious reality in a way to get a positive result. You have to start looking at your people and seeing people that are willing and ready to change positively, that are really and willing, ready to awaken to the reality of who they are, that they are thirsty for the knowledge of themselves, for the love and the compassion that we once had as original people for original people. You must project these things and see these things for them to be real for you. Otherwise, we live in America, in the belly of the beast, and we have accepted the stereotypes of tell lies to your vision and media, and we have allowed them to define and determine how we see ourselves. We have become blind to ourselves, and we need media and propaganda and modern technology in order to determine and define who we are and how we see ourselves. This has to change. The projectors must change. If you are afraid, you will attract your fear to you. Fear means indifference and lack of compassion. If you fear something, there's no way you can have compassion for it. If you fear something, you are dangerous to the thing that you fear. Huh?
Indeed.
If you fear a person, you are a danger to the person you fear. You know why dogs are concerned when they smell fear from you? Because they know that the person that fears them will harm them. So they attack the person that fears them. Am I right?
Indeed.
To protect themselves. That's smart. So we have to go beyond fear within the black community. And going beyond fear does not mean becoming violent towards our own. Huh?
Most definitely.
Going beyond fear does not mean becoming violent towards our own people. We are violent out of fear. We're so scared we overkill one another. We already shot one another. We got to empty the gun and reload it and empty it again. That's fear. Fear has made us extremely violent towards one another unnecessarily. We can't just talk to one another no more. We can't have harmonious dialogue because we're so in fear. So violence shows the fear, especially when the violence is towards your own and when the real enemy that is doing mayhem against your people constantly and consistently and you have not a word to say. You refuse to stand up against the forces of white supremacy. But when it comes to your own people, You turn into Clint Eastwood, huh? You tough now. You Riddick Bowe, right? You turn into Jet Li, huh? You tough when it comes to your own people, but when it comes to the forces of white supremacy, you don't have a goddamn word to say. You're scared as hell. You don't hear me. You're in a state of utter fear and discombobulation when it comes to your enemy. But when it comes to your own people, you quick to say, I'm ready to kill a nigga. Nigga, don't try me. Nigga, don't play with me. Nigga, I'll show you. I'll never hear you say, cracker, I'll show you. Huh? So I just wanted to touch on something because I saw the video about the Detroit situation with the men who had put themselves together, the black men, and called themselves the 300 that are talking about going out and attacking gangs. And one of the stories, let me show you how much we hate black. One of the stories, they said a little girl was abducted, but the community disagreed with the allegations. The entire community disagreed with the allegations. But these this black lynch mob, nigga hating nigga lynch mob, still against the community hate black so fervently that they themselves would even be willing to pursue false allegations just as justification and an opportunity to kill a nigga. See, as black people, we've already mastered killing niggas. You ain't proving nothing by killing a nigga. You ain't proving nothing by taking a nigga down. You ain't proved nothing by being hating a nigga, being jealous of a nigga. That's not nothing new. We've mastered that. So you're not proving anything divine or anything powerful about yourself. We've already mastered. That's old information. What would prove something? What would be revolutionary? What would be new? What would be on the forefront? What would be cutting edge? Is if we are at a point now to kill a cracker, huh? To take down a cracker, to take down the forces of white supremacy. Now you're proving something to bring down the institutions that has brought mayhem and destruction on our people for the last 400 years. Be it they be corporations or law enforcement, military, private, secretive, sabotage-orientated white organizations. Now you're proving something. That's something new. When we look at the condition that our people are in, the reason for it is white supremacy. Everything that black people are doing is relative to the condition that they exist. As long as we as powerful and strong black men allow the forces of white supremacy to wreak havoc on our people, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So until we confront the forces of white supremacy, until we confront the forces of white supremacy and look at them face to face and stand against them, we cannot attack our own people physically or declare war on our own people. The enemy is the reason why they're in the condition that they're in. So until we confront that enemy that has created the situation that continues to manufacture the chaos and the conflict, then we are unjustified in an attack towards our own people. We must stand up against the ultimate aggressor, the ultimate attacker, the ultimate robber and thief that is stealing from our people, that is manipulating our people, that is controlling the resources of our community to have us exist in the condition that until we confront that enemy, until we confront that entity, we are unjustified in the attack to our own people. Our people are innocent in everything that they are doing until we attack the utmost guilty in everything that they're doing. And the guilty today is that white man. So law enforcement, we don't need it. We need to become secure within ourselves as a people to know that we have our community and our nation under control. That we can build a harmonious relationship and establish a positive rapport with our original people of the planet Earth. That's the time that we're in today. We have to be confident and assured in that, like we were in ancient Africa. No white man to call. What white man was we calling in Africa? Talk to me. What white man was we calling in ancient Kemet, or Kush, or Nubia, or Timbuktu, Or the ancient empire of Mali, Songhai. What white man was we calling? What white man did the Dogons call? Or the Atlanteans? Or the Nuberians? Huh? What white man did they call? But today we need the white man to be safe and protected. What we need. People say, well, should we do nothing about it? Are you saying, what do we need? What are you saying, King Noble? What are you saying that we should do? I'm saying we need community service. We need you complaining Negroes that complain about the condition that you see black people in every day. Those Negroes that are complaining about the situation. We need you. We need you to get off of capitalism 24 hours a day, to get off of selfishness, to get off of white supremacy 24 hours a day and step out into your community and live for community service. Live on a purpose. Don't just show up when you're mad. Show up when you can help out. Show up when you can be assistant. Don't just show up when something is going wrong. Show up to ensure that something will go right. We asking you complainers, you couch revolutionaries, you intellectual revolutionaries, you mental, political, social, Facebook debating, arguing revolutionaries, you gossiping about your own people revolutionaries. We asking you about and live for the salvation and the liberation of your people, to represent and stand for black supremacy, to spread black supremacy consciousness to your people, mentally, spiritually, and physically, through educating them, each one teach one according to your own understanding, to share the knowledge and the information and make yourself of community service to your people, to the needs of your people. Don't just work 9 to 5 and come home and scared to get to your house when you get off, and then go in the house and get online and complain about what's going on in your community. Get out there and stand up and make yourself available as a positive representative, as a positive beacon and light for your people, to show them an example and an alternative to what they see going on in their neighborhood, in their community, and you'll be surprised at what happens. So the solution is not to get guns and get violent towards your own people, but to go out there and represent positivity. Light your highest chakra up, turn your aura on, and go out there and present the highest light of positivity to your people. And it will be very well received. You'll be surprised. We just have to change those negative projections that we have against our people. So my solution is community service. Start feeding the people. Start giving them an alternative. Start building insight. Start going out and teaching consciousness and spreading consciousness in this black supremacy message within your community. Go out and talk to people. Go be amongst them. Share the information. Let them know that there is someone else, there is something else, and that this is a new time that we are living in. And just represent that in your energy and in your being. And stand on that 1,000% within yourself. And I guarantee you that that will be more effective than any guns, weapons, or any violence. And I'm not just talking that, just as theoretical. I'm talking from experience. If you ask anybody, we have went here in Chicago into the worst neighborhoods in Chicago, went amongst them. And I say the so-called worst because nowhere, every part of Earth that the black man is at is always the best part. Why? Because the black man is there. The making owner of the planet Earth is there. So every part we're at is the best part. So there really is no worst part. But just for people's understanding of what's said politically, we went to the worst part of Chicago. We didn't have any guns or weapons or anything like that. And we went and talked to the brothers and raised their consciousness. But they knew we wasn't another Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, shucking and jiving, coon and Negro. They knew that we were sincere because they didn't see all the materialism and us trying to get money and trying to exploit and capitalize. And, we went sincere. And we fed the people and provided food for the people and handed out DVDs and information and played the lectures within the community. And our 24-hour encampment, our 24-hour position in that community was spreading knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and spreading consciousness, and keeping their mind centered on black supremacy, black divinity, black nationalism, and black rulership. And we had a very positive effect. And many of the brothers and sisters were beginning to wake up and really embrace this marvelous light, which is who they really are, and step into it. And it was a dramatic change that happened within that community, and we saw people begin to embrace who they are, and a lot of the violence stopped, and a lot of more unity began to happen. So I'm talking about this to say that this is not theoretical. We have done this by experience. I have personally confronted these individuals with guns and weapons that they had, and stood them face to face with no weapons and guns, and the spiritual aura of the return of the ancient ones. Y'all don't hear me. The spiritual aura of the return of the ancient entities resonates and automatically awakens the DNA of those who you come in presence. When you are the embodiment and you're standing in the totality of that light, right? Now you begin to transmit consciousness through telepathy and telekinesis, right? I'm going in now. You begin to transmit this consciousness to those who you come on, and it causes them to be upright immediately. It causes them to reawaken and remember automatically and go into their remembered reawakened self. I don't want to go too deep for you, but this is a fact. When you really are standing in that marvelous light of perfection, when you have really embraced black supremacy for yourself, and you 1,000%. I'm not talking about I'm a capitalist. I'm just talking this black thing, but I'm really, I'm really with the white man. I'm really trying to grow and evolve in that, and I really, I'm on the side of white supremacy. I just want to sound deep and be black sometimes or wear dajiki. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you have fully immersed your soul, when you have fully become totally steadfast, 1,000,000%. People know real is real. People are impressionable. It resonates with them. They know game when they see it. They know bullshit when they see it. But they also know the return of the ancient ones when they see it. They know what they are looking for. They know what they are looking at. You don't have to tell the average African that a lion is dangerous. They don't need a class on that. They can look at it and awaken in their DNA naturally. That no, we don't mess with them damn lions like that. What in them makes them realize this lion is dangerous or this or that animal is dangerous? What made the first person realize it? Because it was in them to realize it. What am I saying? That it is in our people to realize who we are and what we are. But until we be who and what we are, there will be nothing for them to realize. We're talking about this Black History Month, and we're trying to get our people to realize knowledge and information. But we don't realize that all that's symbolic. The ultimate thing that we want them to realize is who they are, which is who we are. So for them to have the ultimate realization, we must be the ultimate manifestation. The ultimate realization is inside of our becoming. If we have not became, what becoming can they recognize? Do we hand them a book and say it's here? Or do we point to our hearts, our souls, and say it's here? See, we've become so book smart in knowledge and so route memory and so dogmatic that we have not allowed ourselves to be transformed and to be metamorphosized into the living, walking emanation of divine black presence. And that's more important. If you got all the other ones and you don't have the emanation, the embodiment, the metamorphosis into your divine identity, then all else fails. If you got all the books and all the knowledge, you can have a library with 1,000 books in it, like Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad said in the departed, God bless his divine soul. May the black God self bless his divine soul is in the realm of the Ogun right now. He said you got everything on the wall, but you ain't got a goddamn thing on the ball. You got every tape and been to every lecture, but you ain't shit yourself. That's the problem. You have not embodied. It's nothing but mere entertainment. You're still a Christian, essentially. When I say you're a Christian, I'm not just talking about theoretically and philosophically. I'm talking about the only real thing that has ever moved your soul was Christianity or Islam. Nothing else has moved you since then. So essentially, you're a Christian. And everything else now, even though you say, I'm not a Christian no more, I don't deal with the white man's religion, you are not moved by anything else. Everything that you're dealing with is entertainment. You're not having a soulful experience of black consciousness. You have just become an information junkie. You have a new hobby. That's it. You're a hobbyist. And it's called black conscious information. You have not allowed yourself to open up to allow the information to transform you into becoming something. You are shallow and superficial in your approach to the information. But when you approach Christianity, when you approach Islam, when you approach your Jesus Christ, you was open. You let this mythos and this mythology inculcate into your soul, where you was 100% solid on Jesus Christ for the time that you were. Am I correct? You was 100% solid on Muhammad, right? Ibn Abdullah. You was 100% solid doing your rakats and making your prayers. But now when it comes to black consciousness, black supremacy, black nationalism, black power, it's just information. It's just rhetoric. It's just a book. It's just another lecture. You have not had a soulful awakening of the information, and you're not even open to it on that level. So you entertain these thoughts in your frontal lobe, but deep in the back, right behind your cerebral cortex and your medulla oblongata, in your subconscious mind, there's white supremacy there. You are centered in white supremacy in the deep essence of yourself. And you're entertaining the possibility of somebody else. But when does possibility become probability and probability becomes manifestation? That's the process of evolution. You start off that, well, maybe it was possible that we're gods. I'm reading this historical book. Well, maybe it's possible that Egypt exists. And it's probably probable because of anthropological carbon dating that these things are true. So it's possible, it's probable. But when do you awaken to being it? When do you put on King Tut's clothes? Ramesses' clothes? Tutankhamun's clothes? Akhenaten's clothes? When do you put on the holy garb? The spiritual garb of your divine ancestral self awaken? When do you wear that and move and groove in that? When does that become a reality for you? And not just in a debate, and not just an argument or an intellectual quest. When does that become something real for you? And that's the challenge. To embody. See, I studied this information for many years. People don't realize that I've been studying metaphysics and consciousness and black nationalism, and even teaching metaphysics and black nationalism and being active for over 15 years. But I got to a point in my journey where I watched this information to embody it. I wasn't just watching it like a scholar and just comparing Dr. Leonard Jeffries to Amos Wilson and arguing, John Henry Clark versus Dr. Ben, or Dr. Ben versus Dr. Malachi York. I was watching this information to absorb it into my chi. Because what you put in, is what you get out. People have said that you are what you eat. And they say that on a nutritional level. But also mentally, you are what you eat. But you have to eat it in a way where your nerves and cells can absorb the energy and be revitalized by the nutrition of it. Am I correct? When you eat on a hungry stomach, you absorb the food differently than if you ate when you were full, because the hunger causes you to salivate, right? And the digestive liquids and the acid in the digestive juices gets at the food, right? And pulls the nutrients out of it. So your hunger helps you to convert the food into something essential for your body. So you first have to be hungry. But hungry means empty, and empty means empty in your mind, and empty in your mind means having no preconceived notions. And having no preconceived notions means that you are absolutely open. You're not approaching this thing as you know everything. You're approaching this thing as you are open and willing to become everything. And you say, not where I know not shall I learn, but where I know not, so shall I become. Huh? Listen, where I know not shall I learn, but where I know not, I shall become. I'm teaching today. You know, some people say, I have forgotten more than you will ever know. But mind never forgets, so nothing is ever forgotten. That which you think you forgot, you have become.
Speak on that, God.
It is subconscious. But you have to approach it. You all have to be open, not looking at this as another DVD, another Black Power movement, another speaker, another, lecture. You have to open yourself up to the paradigm shift. This is a quantum parallel universe existing simultaneously with illusions that you have accepted to be real. Huh? This is reality challenging you to step out of Disney World. Challenging you to step out of a world of false ideas, false notions, and mythology. This is the real world that I'm bringing to you, and you approaching it like it's the rest of the Hollywood shit that you're watching out there. That's why you're not getting it. This information, when you are open and really open yourself up 1,000% to a million billion percent, this information will guarantee to transform you into being a higher being. This message, this black supremacy ministry is transformative. It's not meant to make you deeper and have more knowledge and have more information. It's meant to break down the word information for you and put it in formation. To make you be in the formation of the divine reality of who you are. Because if you never get in formation, if you're never formed and shaped from this conscious creation that is God consciousness, that is black consciousness, if you're not formed out of the triple darkness and womb of your own mind, if you're not impregnated by this message to give birth to who you really are, then it's useless and it's irrelevant, and it deserves to be cast aside like the other messages that you hear. Where am I going with this? This is something to be taken seriously. And once taken seriously, you will embody the energy that will set your community in order. We can't change the world outside of us until we change the world inside of us. As so within, as so without. This is cosmic law. So when we change our inner consciousness through absorbing this message, the world simultaneously that we thought was outside of us changes simultaneously. The change that we're looking for, we are. The savior that we're looking for, we're it. The change we want to see in our community, we are the living, walking embodiments of it. And in our embodiment, we are the exemplification of it, and we are the byproduct. We are the ultimate result. We are the goal in manifestation. And we challenge others to get there. If they truly and sincerely want to see change happen within their community. So my message to people that say, well, we don't do violence and we don't do this. So what are we going to do in our own communities? The question is, what are you going to do within yourself? If what's going on in our community is because they are victims of white supremacy, and your only solution is to attack them and complain about what they're doing, and you yourself continue to support white supremacy with your mind, body, and soul, then you are the problem. You're the major problem. Not because you see wrong, because you won't be right. Huh? That's the problem. You support the institutions with your livelihood daily that contribute to the mayhem that is happening inside of our community. You contribute to it. So where do you stand? How can you confront these individuals sincerely with a real heart, knowing that you're a white supremacy supporter, that that's what you really living for, that your way of life and what you really are is the enemy, and you want to pretend like you care? You got to be real, because one thing in the streets, people can recognize real. They can see game from a mile away, and most of you all know that you're full of shit, which is why you don't even step up to it, because you know they're gonna see you just another fucking money scheme. Huh? They can see it. That's what they dealing with out there, right? Am I lying? They dealing with money, so they know it's just another non-for-profit. I'll peep your game. I'll peep what you on, and I'm gonna stick your ass up. You can't come around here. We see you. But if you are sincere and authentically, genuinely a divine being, 1,000,000,000% on your square, even the fool must pay homage. Even the fool must wisen up in your presence. Let it be known. And to that day, the enemy is you. The enemy is you. And that's why you will use the enemy's tactic as a solution. That's why you would act like the enemy. Because the enemy is you. Until you change that you, everything else is foggy. So that's my challenge to law enforcement. We have to be more solid in who we are. Stop believing in this white man's institution that somehow we being saved and our condition is not getting no better, and all his institutions are doing is keeping white supremacy in power, and we have this feeling of safety. But look at our communities. What is the safety that he's giving to us doing for us as a whole? It's keeping him safe, but in our own communities, he's not doing nothing. I'm 100% sure that we could do better within our own communities, that we will be more effective. We're only calling the police on ourselves. That's why we fill up the jails. Because we think we're calling them to help us, and we're really calling them on us. And they take advantage of that little bit, that little cry, we need your help. They take advantage of that, and they begin to institute martial law. They begin to institute cameras on every block so they can put a microscope up your ass and see everything that you're doing. And now you call for them to put you under martial law. And that's the thing that I said about the 300 men in Detroit, is that they're using the media to criminalize black people and to further contribute to stereotypes of black people within the community. They're using the media to destroy the image of the black man in Detroit. And they're not aware of this. And before you know it, the National Guard and other forces and entities will be in Detroit, putting our people in Guantanamo Bay and locking them up in different this, that, and the other, because we have said these things about ourselves. We are scared of ourselves, and we don't know how just to go about handling business of getting our community in order. There's nothing that we have to say, really, to no cracker about how we need to handle our business within our community to have peace and harmony among our people. We have nothing to say to no crackers and on no crackers medias about how we do that and what's going to be done with that. We have nothing to say to no institution of white supremacy about that. We in our own community just go outside your door and handle that. Bottom line, don't use the media and the white supremacist media and give them justification and excuse to use unnecessary force as careless and uncompassionate as they are towards our people with that type of media campaign. That's the bottom line. So that's my piece on law enforcement. We don't need it. Um, that type of mentality means that we will have these occupiers, um, these foreigners on our jurisdiction and territory forever. That we will never have a nation of our own, sovereign and independent, as long as we continue to deal with these forces and institutions of white supremacy. As long as you believe and have faith in them, and you continue to call them and seek refuge in them, you will continue to empower them as an institution and as a force of authority, and we will never have sovereignty or political freedom or liberation as a people. So you can't want them both. You either want one or the other. You either want martial law or black liberation. You gotta make your mind up. You can't have them both, and both of them have consequences. But one of them is the price of freedom, and the other is voluntary slavery. That's my subject. Hopefully, at some other point, I'll be able to touch more on that issue. But you your own savior. Get out of fear. Know there's no situation that you cannot work out. You in control. It's all the matrix. We can master every situation and circumstance in our own life. If each and every individual realize that, we'll stop having these panic attacks where we pretend like we don't know how to be in harmonious with one another and bring peace in our community and all the situations and circumstances that exist within our life. The next subject I want to touch on before I get to my major topic, um, the science of beyondism, is what I'm calling is, we say we want black nationalism and black power. We want black liberation. We want the condition of black people to change. And that means a lot to different people, which is the issue that we're having with unity, the issue we're having coming together and working for one plan and one mission, because we have different definitions or different ways that we understand what freedom and liberation is. For some, it's economics, get money, materialism. Um, it has many definitions for many people. For some, it's some ecological definition of living in some ecologically friendly environment, eco-safe environment, natural, so-called organic environment, and that's liberation for many, where they have all the healthy foods and stuff that they want to eat, and a nice garden, growing all organic foods. That's the idea of liberation. The definitions are very wide. So I want to clarify what mine is. My mission is, for one, the restoration. Because we talk about reparations and getting money from the crackers for them to repair us and 40 acres and a mule and this type of talk. We want money from them that they print and that they made up lately. There's some new shit. This money that they have is very new. We existed before these monetary systems. We existed before George Washington and the rest of these types of crackers. Whether you say we built the White House or any of this, we certainly existed before this. I don't think any historian would argue that. So I don't give a fuck about no money. I don't care about reparations in the sense of the white man giving us some money for something that he did. How can you give us money that you make and print the value up and decide what it is, and it's inflated, and this year you in debt, and this year a dollar is a dollar, and next year a dollar is a penny? How can you give me some reparations with this type of shenanigan? With this type of whimsical, material, this whimsical system. How can you repair me economically when you cannot even have definitive value? It's impossible. So that notion needs to be totally thrown out. So you can't repair us economically by giving us money. The true repair we need to do is in our awakening of who we are and standing in that. Because the doctor can give you medication and give you some new legs, but if you won't stand up and walk, you'll never be repaired. So true repair comes from within. Until you're willing to stand up on those legs, you'll never be repaired. So the final act of reparation is when the individual embraces their own healing and step into being a whole, perfect, and healed person and being. That's the final step of healing, and no European can give that to us. But my mission is a major mission, is the restoration of kingship. Let me talk about that a little bit. Let me go in on that when I say the restoration of kingship. We talk about black nationalism and Pan-Africanism and all these concepts, and we just kind of get lost, in what they are, and what our real purpose is. When I say the restoration of kingship, when we talk about Sankofa and returning to our ancient identities and our ancient state, the way we once existed as a people, and the way we had it uncorrupted by white supremacy, we had kings. We had kings ruling. So for you to say you are a black nationalist, a black supremacist about black power, about African culture and African spirituality, and returning and reconnecting your roots, and you cringe when someone says king, you a damn fool. Shut up. You show me an African nation in ancient times or system or structure that did not have a king. So what are you Negroes setting up? Talking about we trying to change the condition of our people, and it turns into a whole bunch of panels and a whole bunch of panel discussions and a whole bunch of narcissistic Negroes that are too egotistical to reverence an ancient paradigm that we once existed in that has returned because somebody DNA woke up. Huh? Ask yourself that. They want panel discussions and many people just sitting together twiddling their thumbs and taking notes till they write their thumbs and the skin off their fingers. And meet again and again and again and again. With no true goal. No true real purpose. Everything's symptomatic. Everything they're trying to address is symptomatic. But the root is restoration of kingship, which is restoration of black sovereignty, which is restoration of black nationalism. Because a nation rests on a structure or a system that is in place. It is an organized entity. It is not an anarchist think tank. Huh? It's not. There's some structure to this that what we had. There were kings that existed in ancient times and rulers. I know that hurts some people. The feminist movement has a problem with that. The self-hating Negro, white supremacy loving Negro has a problem with that. They don't want to see a black man really rule. They read all these history books and get all this knowledge and information, but they can't stomach a black man in power today. They can't even conceptualize. They can't even understand or comprehend that. They're totally discombobulated by the idea and the notion of a black man being revered in 2012. They act like this is Encino Man or something, like you're out of place. Like, are you talking about a black king? And what are you talking about? We don't deal with kings anymore. Well, burn all your books. Stop acting like you have this great passion and love for the ancient root culture and the ancient societies that we have set up. And you look at the pictures and the stories of Asir and many of you know as Osiris, and you look at all these great black rulers that we have, and then a black man come to you today and you say, nigga, please, I'm going to the library. Do you hear me? Nigga, please, I'm on my way to the bookstore. Get the hell out of my way, nigga. We have become so superficial that we somehow think that we're going to have an intellectual nation that's a bunch of think tank Negroes that's simply just going to think they were in the old age. We think we're going to have a nation while simultaneously having the inability to revere the sovereign. to revere black rulership. How is it possible, though? How is it possible? We are smarter today. We are more intellectual. We have more thoughts per second than we had in Africa. I'm going in. We have more thoughts per second, minute, and hour than we had in Africa. We're more mental, westernized. We have more philosophies, more isms and schisms than we had in ancient times. But you know what we had in ancient times that we didn't have today? We had more reverence. Today we don't have reverence for the physical reality of black divinity. We lack reverence because we caught up into an intellectual world. We caught up on a mental Star Trek trip of who we are. It has not physicalized for us. We cannot see the dark matter embodiment of the reality of who we are. And this is the major problem that we have. It's a challenge on all of our people today, not just the white man, of whom we have been asking for reparations. It's a challenge on all of our people to accept black supremacy's restoration of black kingship. That's important. That's the stone that the builders has rejected. We got a whole bunch of jesters and clowns that have taken over the empire. We have jester councils and clown councils. Am I correct? Of individuals and men that come together and just clown one another, to sound deep and drown one another out in intellectual folly and scholastic chaos. And that's what we're going to have black nationalism based on. That's what we're going to somehow have a nation when these individuals are elated with their narcissistic approach. They're grandiose about how much information that they can regurgitate that has really turned into psycho vomit. Huh? I gotta be honest. We're not gonna have a nationalism. We're not gonna have a black nation. I don't care how many study groups that you have, until we embrace the restoration of African or black kingship for the black man and the African in America. Mother Nature, the universe, the ancestors, the deities want the restoration of her child, of her son. She wants the restoration of the kingship of the black man in America. The one that has been treated the worst of all African people in the world. The one that has been stripped of most of their land, language, culture, and mores. Mother Nature, the universe, the cosmos, whatever you want to call it, wants to see her sons that have been pushed the farthest away from who they are restored into the divinity of who they are. Until that happens, the world will be in peril. It ain't till those you have done the worst, until you are willing to treat the best, will there be a change. Am I correct? You can't go and give the middle class a little more and say we have changed the world. Am I right? You can't give those with food on their plate a little more to eat and say we have created world change. You must create those that are hungry, huh? That are starving to get back into the position that they once in. You have to put those that have been pushed farther away from the divine reality of who they are, you must give it back to them for there to be a revolutionary change from the way things are now. If you want a 360 degree change, you must give it back to those that are farthest away from it. That's for all African people, all white people, people of any nationality.